Happy week 4, you fucking fantasy point whores. It's your boy Jordan. And it's time for, well, week 4. That would make sense if I'm going to say welcome to week 4. So, let's get right into it. Go into some reviews of our games, the top performers by position, the current power rankings, and a brief peek at next week. Hey, I rhymed there. Maybe I'm not fully white after all. So, first up, we had a game of the week, finally. After weeks of blowouts, I don't think we had really much of a game of the week at all for the past 2 weeks. I got blessed with a win, which I will definitely take, at the expense of probably 5 years off my life. Probably would have been 10 years if it had anything to do with the playoffs or closer to the playoffs, but it's week 4, so apparently I can only win this year if I play Kyle, which is surprising because I normally don't do so well against him. But unfortunately, and fortunately, because it's not like this is the norm anyway, I don't play him again for the rest of the year. I was fortunate to come away with the sweep. However, my record still is at 2-2, and I got Alex next week. So 156 to 153. What was the difference in the game here, folks? Higbee and Debo. That was basically it. I got lucky, made the right call. I will say that I had some reasoning behind it. I didn't think Akers was going to do too great against the 49ers defense. And Joku, I wanted to kind of, I don't have him anymore, but at the time I kind of wanted to see a little bit more proof in the numbers and not just a one-off like he's had in the past. And therefore it left me with Higbee, who was becoming sort of a PPR magnet, essentially. So it worked out. My 17 points held off Debo, who had 27. I needed that pretty much every ounce of that cushion. I won by 3, but it was that extra 10 points that I got, or it was only being 10 points down from Debo that helped me win this week. So I am 2-2. Kyle moves to 1-3, and that is where our division is currently at. I'm in second, he's in third, and Alex is in first. Next up, we had another part 2. We had Carlos getting the $10 win. With the high score of the week by far, 206 points to Joel at 113. It's kind of funny just the way that, I don't know how your scoreboards line up, but the way that my scoreboards line up, it always has Carlos's team either last or next to last. So at first I thought I had a chance for the high score of the week, and also Sahid is down there as well. He was above me as well. So I'm like, oh cool, maybe I'll get the 10 up. No, I didn't get it. Not even close. But kudos to Carlos. He gets his first win in style and wins 206 to 113. What was the difference? Well, Carlos got some unexpected points from some unexpected contributors. Josh Jacobs, 40 points. Rashad Penny, 25. Kudos for playing those fuckers. And he basically got double digits from everybody but his kicker. Compare that to Joel, who got 6 players with single digits, and his flex was outscored 88 to 11. So there's your difference in the game. Of course, it's going to be a pretty huge fucking difference when you essentially have, what is that, almost a 100-point difference between the two. So, yeah, it wasn't very close. So, I digress. We move on. Next up, wasn't a game of the week, but still fairly close. Manny, 121, Gus, 106. Gus had hit a skid after winning his first week. Loses by 15. Manny's now 2-2. Gus is 1-3. What's the difference? Honestly, for Gus, unfortunately, it's the injury bug, and he had some high scores left on his bench, but those scores were not from anybody that you would think, oh, he should have definitely started them. It was like Rashad White, things like that. So, unfortunately, that's where it kind of sat for him. He lost by 15, and the big difference here was really the difference in the top scoring players for each guy. Top scorer for Manny was Miles Sanders with 35. Mike Williams for Gus got 20. Difference there is 15, and Gus lost by 15. So, difference in the top scores there is kind of proof in the pudding. So, next up, Sam continues his recent dominance over Alex in a Super Bowl rematch, and the only Super Bowl rematch this year, because remember, they are not in the same division anymore. Sam moves to 3-1. Alex falls to 3-1, 152 to 138. The difference really here, I mean, it was a pretty high-scoring game. I mean, both teams did fairly well. Alex didn't do near as well as he normally does, or at least has so far. And that's really the difference there. But surprisingly, what I kind of found to be the big difference was at QB. They both kind of went back and forth, some having higher scores than the other. Justin Jefferson finally went off for Alex. Saquon didn't so much. However, the difference at quarterback was Russ getting 30 and Lamar Jackson getting 13. If you were to ask me, hey, somebody, one of their QBs got 30, one got 13, who do you think it was? I probably would have said the opposite. So that's really where the difference lies. So 14-point win for Sam and a 17-point difference there at quarterback. Quarterback does matter. Next up, Saheed moves to 3-1. He is continuing his worst to first trend over Lewis, who is continuing his worst to worst trend at 0-4, 169 to 107.5. It wasn't even close, folks. 61.5 point game. Yeah, this is tough for you, Lewis. I know you're not scoring very much. You're losing every game. I know it might be comfortable here, but you might want to make some moves. It's your last year of having JT anyway. Might as well see if you can get some players, because it sure as hell seems like you need quantity and quality. But at least in the short term, you need quantity, judging by some of the guys you're having to start right now. So the difference here is, like I said, injuries and JT. I mean, Lewis has had some injuries. I don't know if they would have made a 61-point difference, but JT not being anything near what he was drafted to be. I know he got him at a discount as a keeper at pick number 2, but even still, you expect a lot more out of a first-round running back. All the first-round running backs are kind of iffy, so it's been back and forth. Moving on, Jeff moves to 3-1. Hector falls to 3-1, 151 to 103. We got guys that got their first win. Carlos, well, a guy. Lewis did not, unfortunately. And we did get some guys that got their first losses, aka Hector and Alex. 151, 103, 48-point win. The difference is really in positional comparisons. If you look at running back, Jeff outscored Hector 32 to 20. He outscored Hector at wide receiver 35 to 10. And he outscored him at flex 45-24. You add those up, and that's more than enough to get to your 48 points. So that's really the story of the game. We got some good teams still in the mix. Even though Lewis is 0-4, anything's possible. We do have that one extra game that started last year. Now that we have 17 regular season games, we have 14 regular season in fantasy. So there might be something that he can do, but if he's going to, he needs to figure it out quick, because he's not only 0-4 by record, but the numbers support that he should be 0-4, because he is by far the lowest scoring team in the league right now. Wouldn't say by far. Joel's pretty close too, unfortunately, but Joel is 2-2. He's 0-4, so there is a big difference there. So let's go through some of the positional ranks here. For week 4 at quarterback, the top 6 are as follows. Tell me who predicted this. Jared Goff, Geno Smith, Russell Wilson, at least a familiar name, Tom Brady, familiar, Josh Allen, familiar, Kyler Murray, and that's familiar as well. But Goff and Geno, Jesus Christ. 36 points and 35 respectively. That was a hell of a game. First, I saw a stat. First ever game that ended with a 48-45 score in NFL history. So pretty cool there. To date, the top scoring after 4 weeks at quarterback at the top 6 scoring quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson still number 1. Josh Allen 2. Jalen Hurts 3. Pat Mahomes 4. Goff is at 5. That Lions offense is legit, and that defense is anti-legit, which is why they are having such high-scoring games. That is exactly what you want for fantasy. Top-scoring offense and the worst-scoring defense. Yes, please. And then Justin Herbert is at number 6. Running back, top 12. Remember, because we have 2 spots at running back and receiver, which is why I'm doing it that way. Top 12 this week. Josh Jacobs with 40, Austin Eckler 38, Miles Sanders 35, and Rashad Penny 35. Pierce with 32, J. Will 32, Derrick Henry. This is weird. After you get through the first top half, you finally get some familiar names that you'd expect. Derrick Henry, CMC, J.K. Dobbins, CEH, Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon. That rounds out the top 12. To date, the top scoring, it's Chubb still. Saquon, J. Will is a 3. Eckler, CEH, CMC, then Derrick Henry, Miles Sanders, Josh Jacobs, Cordero Patterson, J. Rob, and Aaron Jones. Wide receivers. Top for week 4, Justin Jefferson. Talked about him a little earlier. 33 points. Mike, love Mike Evans, 31 points. T. Higgins, 29. Kupp, Debo, and Hill all tied at 27. Agnew, 24.5. Surprised there. He had some kind of surprising games last year, if you remember, for the Jags. DK Metcalf, 22. CeeDee Lamb, Josh Reynolds for the Lions. Somebody had to catch all those passes, right? Devontae Adams and Mike Williams. To date, top scoring, Kupp and Diggs, 1 and 2. That's your boy Sam. Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, Hollywood Brown. Then Devontae Adams, St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown, got a couple Browns back-to-back, Kirk, Debo, and T. Higgins. Notice, Jamar Chase is not a part of that top 12 year-to-date, but T. Higgins is. So, something to think about. Let's look at the power rankings. There has been some movement, especially on Carlos's case. He had the biggest move. Alex is still top. He's scoring 164 a game on average. Sam is at 155.5. Sam with the tiebreaker right now. Carlos is third. He moved up 6 spots from last week. 142 average a game. That's more where you want to be. Hopefully you can keep that up. You're not going to score 200 every week, but if you could average around 140, you'd be a lot better off. Kyle, fourth, 139.5, same as last week. Saheed, he moved up 3 spots, 136.5. Jeff fell 1 spot to 136. Manny fell 4 spots, biggest faller, 131.8. I moved up 2 to 127. Gus fell 3 spots to 123.5. Hector, right behind him, fell 3 spots as well, 122.5. Joel and Lewis bringing up the rear like Nicki Minaj, 108 and 105 respectively. Yes, Lewis is averaging 5 points north of triple digits a game. That is what smells like 0 and 14 to me. And, or well, probably now 1 and 13, because just because I said that shit, he's going to fucking get his 1 win against me. Watch. But nonetheless, the halfway point is where Jeff is at, 136. So like I said, you want to be in the top half there. 7 teams make the playoffs, but you don't want to be number 7. But again, you just want to get in. But that cutoff at 7, you got to score north of 130 on average. At least that's how it's shaping up so far. Numbers can still be skewed by big games, especially after only 4 weeks. But I'm trying to give you this info to see how the trends go over time. Week 5, I'm not doing over-unders. I don't want to take too much time. You can look those up. Don't know how much information they really provide anyway, because while it is important to look at it, I don't expect you all to read that and be like, okay, doing a checklist the entire time. But look at the over-unders. Vegas is wrong sometimes, but they generally have the right idea. So it's at least worth a review, but I did want to keep these a little bit shorter. So I'm going to go through week 5. We have the last of our divisional games, I believe. We have 4 lined up this week. Me and Alex for round 2. Alex is favored by 15. Gus and Sam, another divisional game. Sam favored by 21. And I did check. Everybody has players, or at least everybody has all 10 spots filled. Don't know if they're going to make any changes. Manny and Kyle. Kyle is a 5-point favorite. Lewis and Hector, that is a divisional game. Hector is a 27-point favorite right now. They are favoring Hector to keep Lewis at 0 and 5. Hector won round 1, and by the way, Sam won round 1 versus Gus, and Alex won round 1 against me. Saeed and Joel, not a divisional match. Saeed is favored by 20. And then the last divisional match, Jeff versus Carlos, which happened just earlier this year. Jeff won the first one and is a 7-point favorite. So that's all we have so far that happened, and that is coming up. The only other thing that I'd like to bring up is, it may have been a little bit lukewarm for the rest of you, because I know only, or 9 out of 12 were not involved. But we did have our first 3-way trade. I'm very proud of it. I worked hard on it. So did Saheed and Gus as well. A lot of cooperation, teamwork, trying to bounce things off each other. A lot of communication. That's how we want it to be. And you should consider it too. It's really not that difficult. It might be difficult to finalize something, but it's interesting because a 3-way trade allows you to potentially get players that you would not be able to get in just a one-on-one trade. For example, I was able to get a player from Gus. I was able to get a player from, well, I got Jalen Hurts from Gus, and I got Devontae Adams from Saheed. So that wouldn't have been possible with a one-on-one because it also involved us having overlapping players that, some of mine went to Gus, some went to Saheed, and vice versa. So it's something that is a tool you can use. And if you announce it as official, everybody agrees, I can make sure that it happens or tell you how to make it happen with just a couple of easy trades. But I encourage you, start looking at trades. You have enough information to kind of have an idea how things are going. Things are still going to be crazy. It's still guesswork. But at the end of the day, it's good to at least be making some movement, making some decisions. If you decide not to and you're going to run with it, okay, but that's also a risk as well. So don't think that by trading or by not trading, you are eliminating risk. You are always going to have risk. No matter what you do, it's going to have risk. So have some fun with it, see what you can bounce off. And it's okay if you talk some things out and you don't get on the same page, then no trade. You're not obligated, but at least talk it out. It's worth it. Because even if something didn't happen that week, maybe later on. I did talk to Gus about getting Jalen Hurts earlier in the year. Didn't work out. A couple games happened. He needed some help. Now it ended up working out. So just because it doesn't work out when you first talk about it doesn't mean that it is bound to never work out. You can keep talking about it, table it for later, but have the discussions. It's worth it. And it's a lot of fun too. It was a lot of fun completing that trade. So hope you all are well. Hope everybody recovered from the storm all right. And hope you all have a good week 5. Well, except for you, Alex. Peace, punch, Captain Crunch. Bitches.